my pleasure, being with J&J Media TV, and thank you from wherever you're watching all over the world.
We read some piece that was attributed to Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, the Anambra State Governor. What's your take on that letter that he wrote, or rather, an open letter, if I may call it that?
Well, it's quite very unfortunate and very unbecoming that a sitting governor that ought to concentrate on the issues of governance, which is quite onerous, will be busy scavenging on the extractor of social media rants. A governor descending so low to be replying to what social media people were writing. And unfortunately for him, even those social media people he wants to address derogatorily were even making more sense than he was. So it's quite unfortunate that Soludo, that prides himself as a professor of economics, believes that what he should be doing 6 months into his failed leadership as a governor will be trying to start playing politics with Anambra State resources. First, he's not contesting any post 2023. He's not on the ballot. Second, in all the indices of leadership, he's failing, whether security or otherwise. You may have known how, for the first time in the history of Anambra State, how a House of Assembly member was beheaded and his head hung on a tree for days. It has only happened in Soludo's government. You may have seen how an Hausa man, his entire family was wiped out in his presence in Soludo's government. You can see how political opponents are assassinated and the entourage of Ifanyoba killed more than 10 persons. And Soludo said there were about 15 camps of such outlaws. One was never existing during P2B's time. So when P2B handed over power to his successor, who became the predecessor of Soludo, all the security challenges that he had wiped out from Anambra State, that made Anambra State the most secured state in Nigeria, by the confession of the IG of police then, Mohammed Abubakar, all the security challenges have come back. And then Soludo is sitting on that security challenge and he's not doing anything about it. Recall that when Soludo was campaigning, even in an Africa government led by his immediate predecessor, more than 3 policemen were killed in his convoy, telling you how terrible security challenge has become in Anambra State. He is not addressing his mind on it. You can see how the economic indices, which when P2B was in power, he was rated as #1. According to the Director General of NAPEP, Dr. Magnus Pako, he said Anambra State had the least poverty index. It was the state that had the least poor people in Nigeria. By NAPEP DG official, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics also rated that Anambra State was the least indebted state. Then it had the best network of roads. You recall how Anambra State was performing last in education. Students were at home for 2 years before Obi came into power. Obi transformed it through human capital development. And Anambra State started becoming first in WAEC. And now he left 155 million US dollars. If they had left it in the bank, today it will be approaching 150 billion naira by APC's failed government depreciation of naira, approaching 1,000 naira to a dollar. Now, they squandered the savings. Soludo said he inherited debts from his immediate predecessor, who inherited investments from P2P. And then Soludo sat down and he's saying that investment meant little to nothing. And he doubled down in a letter, empty letter.
What do you think? First, he had an interview with Sean Okimbaloyo on Channels TV. Second, he went on holiday. Again, it must be noted that that second letter came from London. He went on holiday, to London and penned that second, or rather the letter, or the expose, or whatever you may choose to call it. What do you think could be behind? One, he said that the investment are almost valueless. Second, releasing that statement that he made, trying to address the obedient, but ended up attacking his own brother in the person of Peter Obi. What do you think could be behind such?
Soludo attacked the Igbo race, insulted the Igbo race, he insulted the youths of Anambra, he insulted the mothers, he insulted APGA as a party because he was not there when APGA was founded. Then he insulted the political class, he insulted Ohanese, and insulted everybody. And this is my facts. In his letter, he said that the Igbo song Nsobu Nsobu Enyimba is worthless going into politics. Which politician of any other geopolitical zone can make a mess of a war song, which when an Igbo man hears it, he's ginger to go and do something. He said it's worthless. He insulted the youths because when he was to come into power, it was the youths that propelled him to come into power. And the youths are the architects of the social media. They still use the social media to help him come into power. And now he's insulting them. He insulted the mothers who refused to take money from APC or PDP or from any other politician and said they will not sell their votes. And they voted for him. And now he's saying that Ndigo should now, because of money and other things, begin to look to align to other political parties. When other Nigerians are even saying for equity and justice the turn of Ndigo. He insulted in the Anambra because the presidential candidate that has been accepted by the whole Nigeria is from Anambra State, and then his own governor is saying that no good thing will come to Anambra State. So he insulted the political class by trying to create the impression that nobody from Igbo land is capable of winning an election without having to become a slave to another group. He insulted Ohanese by saying that when the time comes, we will know what the social cultural group will bring as votes for P2P. So you see, one begins to think, what is the relationship of all this his tirades, all this his unfortunate running around speech to the issue of investment that he was talking about? If he actually meant he was trying to reply on investment, he wrote a 25 paragraph letter, which he titled part 1. Let him bring the part 100. We're waiting. And then only 3 paragraphs were used to talk about investment. The first 13 paragraphs were talking about nothing. And he himself admitted in the 14th paragraph, he said, let me come to the substance of the issue. And he used only 3 paragraphs. And that 3 paragraphs, you know what he was doing? He was eulogizing his own investment, saying, I know when and how it is appropriate to save. It's only Soludo that knows when and how it is appropriate to save, because that is what is killing him. I. Now, Soludo, let's talk about the investment he was talking about. He said it is himself alone that knows when and how it's appropriate to save. And he said he grew the foreign reserves from $12 billion to $63 million, out of which $12 billion was used to pay off our foreign debt, and he left $45 billion. He told us to go and verify. Okay, we are verifying him. This is the same solution that says, what is the propriety of saving, of investing, when people are hungry, when there are no roofs in school, when so and so. Although those things we are lies, assuming we can consider. When Soludo was making those savings, what was the position of power in the government of President Obasanjo? We didn't have electricity. Our refineries were not working. We were paying subsidies. Everything, roads, they were all bad throughout the whole Nigeria. From Abuja to the southeast, you cannot travel on the road without getting sick. So Soludo that is saying, why would you make investment when every other thing is not made well? Has not told us what was working well. In the government, he was the CBN governor when he was making those investments. Unfortunately for him, it was President Obasanjo that made the investments, not him. The CBN governor has no right to spend 1 naira of the revenue of Nigeria without getting the approval from the National Assembly and without the president authorizing it. So Soludo made no investment as CBN governor. Now that he is the governor of Anambra State, we will see how much he's going to invest and how much he's going to leave in his one-term governorship, because obviously he's a one-term governor. So everything Soludo has done, he has destroyed. So that's why he ends up in 1 term. He was booted out after 1 term in Central Bank governor for trying to claim even the right that belongs to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A CBN governor that does not know what the CBN Act says is trying to redenominate the naira and was telling the president that he has no power to do anything, that he has taken the decision as the CBN governor and has just come to give him the courtesy of informing him that naira will soon be redenominated. The Minister of Justice, Andoka, as he then was, had to tell him that he does not even know the CBN Act, because section 19 and 20 made it very clear. So you see, Soludo is suffering from the arrogance of ignorance. And this is what happens to men when they think that they have read very well and refuse to be humble enough to continue learning. Everybody should know how to learn and should know how to be humble. That is why Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala aptly describes Soludo as a man that lacks in character and in wisdom. Quoting her directly, she said, there is definitely an issue of character with Professor Charles Soludo in his desperate search for power and for relevance in Nigeria. And Nigerians should beware of so-called intellectuals without wisdom and without character, because both combination is fatal. So you can see a Soludo contradicting himself. When he is making the investment is good. When P2B is making the investment, it amounts to nothing. When Soludo is central bank governor, he wants to usurp the power of the president. Is it surprising now that he is the governor of Anambra State and he wants to begin to act like a presidential candidate of a party? No, what's the basis of attacking P2B? Are you contesting for the presidency? Now, what is the basis now of your saying we should negotiate with two parties? You say P2B knows he will not win and he can't win. Is Soludo God? Is he the people of Nigeria that will determine who will win? This is why it's all about envy and jealousy masquerading as a sportsman or what? You're not contesting an election. You don't want to be the president. You cannot even be the president because you're unfit in 2023. So on what basis is that letter coming from? You're talking about investment. What have you said about investment? Governor Darius Ishaku of Taraba said Obiano confided in him when he was praising him for the Anambra International Airport, and it was the money his predecessor saved for him that he used for the airport, corroborating what His Excellency P2B said. Now look, I have only 8 years. There are projects that are dear to me which I will not be able to finish, but I have made provision and saved all the money for my successor to use. And Obiano used some of them to do the projects. And then a man is saying investment was not. So it is simply a measure of the character of Soludo, not a measure of the competence of P2B. Because P2B is a man of character, is a man of competence, is a man of capacity, is a man of content, is a man of credibility, is a man of creativity, is a man of conviction, is a man of courage, he is a man of consistency, and he is a man that is capable and will be the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, irrespective and despite the tantrums and the irrelevancies that people like Soludo, who ought to be in the forefront of fighting for his brother to be president, one other section of Nigeria have endorsed P2B because of his character, competence and capacity, but is trying to run him down. Whatever you sow is what you're going to reap. You see, when I say that you don't compare apples and oranges, you can see how it is. When a professor cannot profess rightly, then a trader can trade rightly and then give you the words that he is lacking. I am very, very blessed to have a principal like His Excellency P2B, and that is why I'm happy I have the role model that I can follow. When Soludo finished his insults, his this, P2B simply said, he's my brother, he's my governor, he's even a professor, and I'm a trader. So I believe that he will now be even more intelligent than me. So whatever I have not done well, let him now use his position as governor to do it well. So Soludo, I pray that you will take a cue and then concentrate on your governance so that you can now profess well in the administration of Anambra State. A trader has left $155 million for you, has left 37 billion naira for you. Make sure that in addition to all the achievements that will be made, that you achieve more and leave more money for your successor. That is how you will prove that a professor is better than a trader.
Aside what Governor Charles Soludo said, we also have Chief Dan Olas, a politician from Anambra State, made some comment recently, which I believe you must have heard. What's your take on that?
Pathetic. You know, Chief Dan Olas is a man who said he has been the chairman of two national political parties in Anambra State. One NRC in 1993 and then PDP. And in 2023, Chidan Olas is also saying that India should support Atiku Abubakar. First of all, I found this very contradictory. Chidan Olas is the man who told the whole world that Shehu Shagari told him that the reason his people, in other words his fellow Fulani people, overthrew him in government was because they didn't want an Igbo person to be president. Alex Ekweme was vice president, and Shagari was saying, according to Dan Olas, that it was the Fulani that overthrew him to forestall an Ekweme to be president. The same Dan Olas is now campaigning in Igbo land in the southeast for an Atiku Abubakar, who is a Fulfude speaking Fulani Northern Muslim, to succeed another Fulfude speaking Fulani Northern Muslim to govern Nigeria for an unbroken period of 16 years. And unfortunately, the same Dan Olas is now campaigning against the presidential candidate of Southeast, which even the presidential candidate that Abubakar is campaigning for has openly come out to say it is the turn of the Southeast to produce the next president. You can imagine Chief Dan Olas is coming out to eat back his vomit that it is the Fulani that is the problem of the Southeast, and then he is now the chief spokesperson of Atiku Abubakar. Now, let us look at what Olas said about Atiku Abubakar. People have been wondering, how did Atiku Abubakar make so much wealth as a civil servant, a custom officer? It was from Chief Olas that I heard it, that when Atiku was a custom officer, he was flying container out of the wharf without collecting duty for the government. And Atiku knew that it was illegal, but yet he was doing it. This was the statement of Dan Olas. So he knew that Atiku was very corrupt, even as a custom officer. Now, let us see how very unfortunate this man can be. He coined it that Atiku was doing those things to help the Igbo people who came out of the war. And that was why he was allowing containers to fly out of the wharf without collecting duty. That it is only when the container has gone out that he will now collect duty. Now, let me state it clearly. Because when I went to Lagos, I lived in Olodiapapa with some of my relatives that we are clearing and forwarding agents. I lived in Olodiapapa with some of my relatives that we are clearing and forwarding agents. Whenever a container leaves the wharf, the duty, custom duty, is no longer going to the government, it's going to the coffers of the custom officer. Who is that custom officer that will be so daft that he will now collect duty afterwards? The container has left the wharf and go back to put it in the government cover. He will be caught. So when Atiku was doing that, they call it flying container. In the palace of the clearing of one agent, the money goes to the custom officer's pocket. So this is J.C. Olas actually on national television telling the whole world that Atiku is corrupt. And he was compensated by being made the contact and mobilization head in the southeast, so that maybe he will use part of the money, maybe corrupt money, to buy the Igbo people to follow Atiku. Otherwise, how can a person from the southeast calling himself an elder, who knows that by equity and justice it is the time of his people, who has told us in the past, according to him, because I don't believe it, I campaigned for a Fulani president 2019, and when it is appropriate again in future, I will do the same. This same elder that originally was telling us that Fulani was our problem is now telling us that we should now give Fulani 16 years to govern Nigeria. So these elders, sorry to say it, they are integrity challenged. They are suffering from acute integrity deficiency syndrome, AIDS. They talk contradictory things when they are offered money or anything whatsoever. So Chief Dan Olase is a man who, after being the chairman of the National Party in Anambra State, has not attracted any development in Anambra State, in the whole Southeast. Let me ask him, he's trying to tell the Southeast to follow PDP. What has PDP done for the Southeast for the 16 years they were in power? Just give me one legacy project, one. Then this is a man that is encouraging Southeast to follow PDP. PDP has not considered Southeast qualified for the president or the vice president for 24 years, and Southeast has given 100% of their votes. Yet, an elder like Dan Olase will tell us to follow them. They are part of the problems of the Southeast, because if anybody wants you to tell the people to follow him, ask him what is in there for your people. Democracy is a representative government. How has PDP represented the interest of the Southeast? How has PDP been able to pay back all the support and loyalty that Southeast has given to them for 24 years? They've not considered us qualified for president or vice, and they have not considered us qualified for any infrastructure. Yet, and Olase is telling us that we should support PDP in 2023, sadly against his own brother Peter Obi. So you can see that these men have nothing else to offer the people of Igbo or Southeast. So the only thing the Southeast owe them now is to vote them out, vote their candidate out, and allow the emergence, the evolution of new leaders. Peter Obi said, they are in the past, but I and that we are the future of Nigeria. So please, Ndigo, do not listen to them. They are not fighting for your interests. They are fighting for their own personal interest. Dan Olase has failed his people. He has been in politics for decades with nothing to show for it for his people. We should try a new beginning in Peter Obi.
In conclusion, today His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi was in Rivers State to commission a project. There, the governor of that state made him a promise that has excited obedience. What's your take?
Well, it's quite beautiful to behold a commissioning of a project turning into a carnival. You know, it was to be a project, commissioning exercise, but it became a carnival, telling you the hope that a Peter Obi evokes in the hearts of Nigerians, particularly the youths. You know, the whole idea of the G5 is for equity, justice and fairness. Wike wants to champion equity, justice, and fairness in a new Nigeria. And you can see in PDP, he's saying, let there be a fair ground. Power ought to shift to the south. Even if you are not giving the power, if you have usurped it, then let there be fairness. Let there be give and take. Yet they are calling him a child. The last thing Atiku said is that they are bygone. He said their history is moving on. And look at APC. It's now a religious party. Presidential candidate, Muslim. Vice presidential candidate, Muslim. Senate president, Muslim. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Muslim. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Muslim. National Chairman, Muslim. Even the Chief Justice of Federation, that is by appointment, Muslim. So, executive, legislature, judiciary, Muslims. Can anybody who is talking about equity and justice in Nigeria even look at that? So the only option now is a P2B presidency. And we gave him who he is, a straight shooter. He made it clear to P2B, I will give you all the logistics. You have the characteristics, you have the criteria, you have the qualifications to be the next president of Nigeria. That you left PDP to save your ambition to save Nigeria. What an endorsement. He did not say this for other candidates. He said he does not like people who will tell him something in the morning and tell him another thing in the evening. As Atiku Abubakar did to him. Atiku Abubakar told him 2 days after winning the primary, he went to Wike and said, "You must go to achieve balance." And the next thing we started hearing was that IU will stay because the constitution cannot allow it. Did the constitution allow them to tell the POT chairman to go? So you see, men who are not reliable, they will go to Wike and then he will be the next president. They will go to Southeast, I will leave the president for him. They will go to Otom. So Wike has seen all this thing and he said he's tired of men he cannot trust. So the truth is that this looks like an endorsement by His Excellency Wike, because he said if he's coming to campaign, he's going to give him all the logistics. And then he said, stay away from all other posts. And politics is about give and take. So the two men will go in and negotiate, and whatever they come out with, then we are good to go. When I became compliant to Obi's presidency, the first thing I said was that I am Obi-centric. People did not even understand what I meant. What I meant was that whatever I'm doing on 2023 is centered on Obi. That's being Obi-centric. But recall that you cannot be an independent candidate. So you must promote the party, because on that day it might just be the party that is on the ballot. So there is a need to promote the party. Obi is a Labour Party and vote for Labour Party during the presidential election.